This video is brought to you by Happy Little Hug Factory. Make sure to stop by and check out when you're looking for Final Fantasy, Force of Will, or any other cards you need. Welcome everyone, and we are the Triple Triad Podcast. Today I have everyone with us. We have Andy Carmona, Albert Ciordia, and Alejandro Ziegenhert, and myself, of course. We're going to wrap up this year. Everyone say hi, please.
Yo, what up?
Hey, how's it going, y'all?
If you've ever missed getting the cat eye circlet by year 7, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
And if you guys don't know if you guys don't know what the cat eye circlet is, stay tuned because we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, so to wrap up this year for everyone, we're kind of just want to talk about how the year went for us. You know, I know we've kind of touched a little bit on every podcast, obviously, but overall, you know, we had a pretty exciting year, I'd like to say. You know, we started, I think it was Opus 4 when we were playing this game, or Opus 3 going into 4, and we've been, you know, we had 3 sets this whole year, right? Opus 4, 5, and 6, or 7, right? 5, 6, 7, right? So, yeah, a lot of stuff has happened. We had the Crystal Cups, we went to Nats. We thought we were good players, and then we scrubbed out really bad, so that happened.
Speak for yourself, Scrub.
Yeah, you know, 3-5 is obviously better than 4-4.
I think we had a very successful competitive year.
Yeah.
But all in all, I think this is kind of like the first year where we can establish the community as seeing it growing, you know, which is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100% because the last year their nationals was 200 tickets, you know, first come first serve, and now we had an official year, you know, a whole season to be exact. You know, it wasn't the smoothest ride, but it was definitely something very, very interesting and very fun for us. And going back to what I was saying, the meta has shifted a lot since then. You know, we were playing when I started playing. Well, I've pretty much been playing Mono Water the whole season, but you know, it wasn't always good. I felt, I guess. We were just playing it because, and then we had a bunch of weird decks come out, like the Palimporum, you know, the EX Burst deck. Now we have a little more stability with the Cactuar Dataluma. We have Water Wind with Yuna and Yuri and stuff like that. There's a lot of things. What about you guys? So, Alex, what do you think what are the decks you remember the most from this season? Alex?
He went to KDM.
Yeah, hello.
There, oh, there he is.
There he is.
Oh, sorry, guys. Personally, I think Vice Kings really is the deck of the year for me. I remember back when it first came out, that it's just so good. You can do 25 cards different in it than another person's version, and it might be just as good. Like, that deck has really stood out for me. And like you mentioned, every single time I play, it looks like I'm doing calculus homework with my lines. And I don't really think any other deck makes me do that. Usually the lines of play are a little bit more straightforward, but definitely Vice Kings has been the fun deck for me this year. And I'm looking forward to discovering a new fun deck just like that with the opuses to come.
Is it safe to say that with the new opuses, it actually, well, I guess we'll start with like Opus 5 leading to Opus 6, that decks have actually now become a little bit more combo orientated? Not saying that they're, you know, combo centric, but you know how the decks used to work. It was like you kind of set up a scenario where this card might function a little bit better. Meaning, for example, let's say, you know, Opus 2, Idea, where you just, you know, you build up your lightning back rows and then she's powerful, you know, she's viable. But in decks nowadays, it's like, okay, you know, you kind of need to set up some sort of combo, some sort of field. So we can say that the decks maybe are changing.
Yeah, of course, that's safe to say. I guess it also, I feel like the way the meta's going too, it also kind of pushed out aggro a little bit too. Chibi.
Well, aggro got destroyed with the ban. That was our dedicated aggro deck, was the turbo discard.
Well, it was the newest turbo deck, I guess you could say. But before we did have Fire Ice Turbo, right? Like Fire Ice Turbo aggro. It wasn't obviously discarding, you know, it wasn't the same concept, but it would be like, you know, first turn Genesis, drop Sage, right? Give it haste. or like Shulk into something else and drop stuff. Like for me, back my first aggro like discard deck was Ice Water. I do Shulk into Realm, search Buckaboo, drop Buckaboo turn 1, and then we're going. You know what I'm saying? So aggro's kind of like, and then we had Golbas. We don't even see Golbas anymore. Like we see them, we know they're out there, right? We can do the Waff thing, or we can do, but Albert had the Cadets, right? Cadets Golbas for a while too.
Yeah, but that wasn't really aggro, I wouldn't say.
It's not aggro, but it's just the transition of decks that we saw. We don't see that much variety anymore. You know what I'm saying?
I think now you're starting to see a little more with the last set that came out. But yeah, I throughout the year, I'd agree that it was mostly the same old stuff.
Okay. So I asked Alex, Andy, what about you? What was the most, like, the deck that resonated with you the most this year? Like,
You're gonna really ask that about
yes,
me?
I want to know if today is the last day of the new year, right? This is the last podcast. I want to know if you're gonna throw us a curveball here.
Yeah. No, man. Mono Lightning has been the bread and butter, as Chris Adams would say, the old reliable. That's just the deck that really performed well with me. I knew the ins and outs of it, and I felt very comfortable with the plays, even though there wasn't anything crazy. It was just it was a simple deck. And sometimes you could do wonders with simple things,
Yeah, I agree. So let's look back at Lightning for a second then. When we started playing, what was the card? What was the combo?
When we started playing?
Yeah, when we started playing. Remember, we picked up the Lightning cards, and then if you wanted to play Lightning, what were the 2 cards you needed?
I didn't have Alcid for a while. I separately had to buy him because I didn't know really how the card worked. Yeah. But what I was really trying to do is drop a lot of 13 characters on there and use the legendary Opus 1 Lightning. And just force you to chump block, use that S ability.
What was it again?
Army of 1.
Army of 1, right,
it's
yeah.
Called.
Well, there you go. So when you started, you were playing Lightning. Then you moved on to Alcid. And Alcid was the big thing for a while. Define Lightning after that. Look, how did it progress? How did it evolve throughout the year?
It was just more and more removal. So you had a little bit more answers to everything. But then, if you want to talk about the evolution, it would be more the evolution that decks were becoming a little bit more resilient to just hard removal, and that's when the the tactics started to play into how to build Lightning a little bit better. Because at that point, you could just throw in all the Odins and all the removal and anything that does ping damage, and it's just like, oh, this is a good deck. Now you can't do that. There's cards that say you can't target me. There's cards that say, this thing doesn't take damage. There's just things that just stop Alcid altogether. So, I kind of like that now. I kind of like that it went from this very steamrolly type of deck, where it's just like whatever you put out, it's just going to answer it, to now you have to have the right answer at the right moment. Or if not, you're just not going to get anywhere. Because Lightning doesn't really build on itself. It doesn't generate any value or anything. It just removes here and there. The only value it has is if you pop an EX Burst Odin or an Adea, and it resolves. You're just getting free CP at that point.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, and then there's cards. I think for me, I guess if I had to say, Lightning changed a little bit when Zemus came out too, right? Like, it kind of made the cards that it already had and the cards that came out afterwards more threatening, because they were never really, one and done or whatever. You couldn't account for them when you were like counting your opponent's cards, I guess. But
he adds a little bit, a little more flavor to the deck, but he doesn't really like outright changes it. He does, he offers a kind of a not really a new mechanic, but just a new way of recycling some CP or just generating some sort of little bit of value. But he doesn't because there's still some lists that don't use them anymore. I mean, you had to run 3 of him during Turbo Discard just to win.
Yeah.
But the card that really shaped Lightning is Lua.
That's true.
Yeah. I agree.
And
that when that card came out, that's when Lightning was just like, let's put the pedal to the metal and make it the most annoying card.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that card in Zemus. When we first saw Zemus, I was thinking I was big on Zemus. I was like, oh man, that's going to be a big deal. That's going to change a lot. But thankfully, they gave a lot of the other elements stuff to keep up with it and things. Because giving that card to Lightning, before it was released, you would see the meta, and you would see just what decks had available to them, and that would have been broken nuts. It would have been impossible. But I can't remember what there was. Earth and Wind generally got a lot of stuff to keep up in the sets coming after that. But yeah, definitely Ilua on its own, like regardless of what the other decks got, Ilua on its own, I think is the biggest card for Lightning this whole year.
Yeah, second would be Hildebrand, but that's my personal opinion. Agree or disagree?
that was out already. That was not 2018, was it?
Yeah, you put that card on the map for everyone, so that was cool, man. That was definitely like a highlight of the year, right? If we had to say.
Highlight of the year, Mandeville Man was born.
All right, so Albert, what about you? I know you. So for those who don't know, or for maybe you guys haven't been keeping up. He kind of stepped out for Opus 6, right? The whole turbo meta, the whole turbo format.
I set it out, yeah. I mean, I followed the game a little bit. I just didn't really go to locals or get a lot of play time in. I had ideas for decks, certainly, because I think it was that podcast with, what's his name? From Toronto. Sorry, can't remember his name right now. I was big on the Final Fantasy VIII cards coming out of that set. I didn't know it was going to be turbo discard at the time. Obviously, no one did, but then, I had plans for that set, but I just, I fell out of the game a little bit. I had other stuff going on. But for me, I think, Ice was big all year. So, I think that's the one that, if I had to name a deck that, was representative of 2018, it would be Ice deck. Because it stuck around all year. It wasn't always turbo discard. And it needed a ban in December.
Yeah.
But it was still, I would say meta and prevalent.
Yeah, mid-range Ice is extremely relevant, and actually my favorite variant since the beginning. Turbo for me was never really, I understood it was an amazing deck, but I didn't really find enjoyment playing it per se. But mid-range Ice is the reason I got to Nationals. So I definitely agree with Albert there that Alberto that Mono Ice has just been amazing, and there's just so many variants and splashes. Hunter Nance put 7 Earth cards in his, and that did amazing work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely a deck to continue into the future to keep an eye on.
And then if we think about it too, the engine change, right? We started with Genesis, and then it went into the 6 engine, the i6 engine, and then we went into discard, and then the DGS soldiers, whatever, and now we're back at tempo also, right? A little mid-rangey. So it kind of went up and down. It took a drastic turn, and then it kind of came back to where it started. So yeah, that's a good point. I like that about Ice. For me, I don't know, man. I mentioned it already, but I think the most creative deck had to have been the Palimporum thing when it came out, that budget deck. It was so annoying to deal with, and it kind of stuck around for a little bit early on in the year. And I don't know. I think that was the deck that really put me on Fusoya. And then shortly after that, when we went to Boston, I just literally built around the Fusoya for the water deck, and that's how I was able to blitz ace so many times that day. That was probably the highlight for me of the year. Obviously, that was the tournament where I did the best, so that was the most memorable for me. I can't, and that
was just amazing. But the fact that you even took Titus to start blitzing people was just dope.
Yeah, and the thing was too, that's how I got into top 4. Shout out to Arlen too, and I feel not to rehash the memory, but he had me at 6 damage. I left Titus alive. I kind of held him off because he was playing Mono Lightning, and he had everything. He had the 6-drop Ramzo that breaks a 3 cost. He had it all, right? All I had was the Titus, the S, and a Leviathan in hand. I drew. I was able to Leviathan his last defender, and I blitz aced for 4 to put me into top 4. And yeah, that was it for me, man. That was great. I'm hoping to bring him back sometime soon. I was hoping the Guardians thing this set, Opus 7, would definitely give him the push he needed to make him safer anyway. But I'm still working on that, guys. I'll let you know how that turns out.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't know, man. This year's been crazy. Lots of things, and we have a lot of things to look forward to. Actually, we have the reunion, which we'll talk about soon, and then have you guys all seen that Kingdom Hearts card, the one, the Opus 8 box box promo, right? That's what they're calling it.
The cloud one, right?
Yeah, the cloud one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alex, Albert, you've seen it, right?
I don't think I have actually.
I think I put it in our Discord if you want to take a quick look at it. But
Okay, take a look.
But it's definitely there. And just for those, if I'm pretty sure most of the people have seen it because everyone's a Kingdom Hearts fan, I think. Yeah, he's a 5-cost EX burst. Opus.
Oh yeah, this one. Yeah, I've seen this one. This one's interesting for sure.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be something to look forward to for all the, not only the 7 character, like people who love 7, because there's obviously a lot of people who love 7. Excuse me, but definitely the people who are like fans of crossovers and like the Kingdom Hearts world. But he's a solid card, 5-cost CP EX burst. When Cloud enters the field, choose a forward your opponent controls, deal it 3,000 damage plus 1,000 damage for each damage point you've received. So what? Possible 9, right? Late.
Sure, yeah.
And then when Cloud is put from the field to the break zone, you may remove the top 10 cards from your deck from the game. If you do so, return Cloud on the field dull. So that's cool. So you can break him, or he'll come in, he'll die, and then he can bring him back and he'll do it again. So that's there's some value there. I don't know if 10 cards is worth it to me sometimes, but it might be the difference in the game. So that's definitely something to look forward to.
According to I remember this with Kageyama when he was talking about his fire deck with the Dark Lord.
Uh-huh.
He's just like 10 cards, man. You'll probably never see those cards playing anyways. Yeah. So it doesn't cost that much.
There you go. That's one way to put it. Yeah.
That's straight from the creator's mouth, man.
So there you go. So that's probably why he threw this in this card too.
That's why he put it in fire.
Yeah. He goes, what? 10 card mill? Yeah, that's definitely a fire card.
10 fire cards. You're not gonna want to play anyway. So if we're looking at this, I don't even know if I want to say objectively, but this is a good light for like all the fans of other Square Enix games, right? Like other titles maybe, because I know in the chapter series Parasite Eve had a card, right? What was your name? Aya. Aya had a card in the chapter series. I guess. Do you think like this is going to be the gateway to more of that stuff down the road?
Well, Final Fantasy is not a stranger to crossovers. Like take their Brave Exvius, for example, they've crossed over with other of their IPs, right? So, and now they've recently introduced the Laswell card, which is Brave Exvius, which is, another property of Final Fantasy, but then that can then branch out even further, but who knows, I personally don't care too much if it branches out to other Square Enix projects. I just would like to keep it Final Fantasy, since it is the Final Fantasy trading card game, not the Square Enix trading card game.
Square Enix trading game.
Yeah, because that might be a little bit too overambitious, and then you never know.
Okay, that's fair. But is there anyone you'd like to see, though? Or you're just like, if it happens, it happens?
Yeah, give me a Lara Croft.
Lara Croft promo card.
Yeah, she's Square Enix now, baby.
Yeah, that's true. That's
cool. Do some Tomb Raiding.
What about you, Alex?
I'd like to see Aya maybe from Parasite Eve.
Yeah, you'd like to see her come back?
Yeah, that like we were discussing, that's definitely a childhood favorite game of mine for sure.
What about you, Chibi? Albert?
I mean, it's like, why don't they just throw in some guys? Characters.
Guys? Who knows that one?
Urges, the fighting game on PS1? Holy bananas, dude, taking me back.
Yeah, I mean, Cloud's in that, right?
I won't lie, that game was sweet though.
I don't even know this game.
The other ambitious crossover Square did their fighter.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, no, I don't even know this one.
Didn't they have what's this guy? Brave Fencer Musashi? Is that Square?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that was Square.
Was it really?
For sure.
Yeah.
Man, look at that. I'm telling you, the possibilities are endless. But
Square made everything.
Square made it.
Made it.
Everything we've played, everything we love.
And if it's bad, it's Enix's fault.
Dang.
Let's bring back Squaresoft.
Yeah, I was just about to say, isn't it Soft's fault? That's why they went Square Enix. But that's cool. So Andy mentioned the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius things, and I know I mentioned a little bit of that in the when I covered the Fan Fest. But yeah, those are going to be a new game that we're going to be looking forward to in the Opus 8. So we have, Rain, Laswell, Lid, Sakura, Jake, and what's the other one? Nicole, right? Those are those characters. And yeah, man, I'm hoping we can see some spoilers as soon as the season starts. I'm hoping we get, considering that Square's going to be at the reunion, like, RB's going to be there. Maybe we'll get some, what is it called? Some sneaks, some spoilers from Opus 8. Do you guys think that's going to be likely? Or are we going to be playing too many games for them to even take the time?
What, to announce spoilers?
Yeah, at the first start of the preseason, this.
I guess. I mean, it all depends the timeline when they start doing their usual. I mean, they have a set schedule for that stuff, anyways. Yeah. I just don't know if it falls in line with the fan fest, but I'm sure something might get leaked out or something.
Something might get leaked out. Are you guys all excited for the fan fest though? I know the three of us are going. Albert, you're not going, right?
I don't even know what that is.
It's gonna be
what?
Yeah, see, he's been away. He's still barely coming back to locals. So yeah,
I'm still wondering if that Fire Cloud, like, I wonder if they have like a stats, like they must have market data at this point. If a set does better when it has a cloud promo, and then they just put it out and they make it crap, like this last cloud promo, like they're all crap, and then they stick it in Fire because like no one's gonna care there because Fire is just not doing great. It's just the only reason I can think of is like, oh, every set sells better when it has a cloud promo in it.
Do you think so?
Or a cloud period.
I can hear the amount of listeners just shutting off the podcast as he keeps saying Fire sucks, Fire sucks. You need to watch your mouth, all right?
Hey, I want Fire to be good.
Yeah, but your tone, you watch your tone, mister. Right?
So that's also been the argument.
That is not Fire talk.
That's also been the argument of the year too, right? If it has to be hands down, the most talked about thing was let's make Fire great, right? Since the that's been the topic of the year, I think too. Like everyone's hoping.
I've tried.
Everyone's tried. Alex came at me the other day with his Fire aggro. Couldn't get through me at all. I don't think you won a game.
Yes, sure.
We'll start a GoFundMe for Fire.
GoFundMe. Let's help me get all the good Fire cards.
I think that might be the right idea.
Yeah. So mentioning.
So like I was discussing with John, the big problem with Fire that we both agree on is that where's the value, like John was saying, it's all 1-for-1. Yesterday, I'm trying this really, what I think is nice Fire aggro deck, and everything's going great. I'm super ahead. He's on like 4 damage. Let's go, the best. And then I just get, an X burst, and then I'm behind, and then I lose. Like, I don't know. It seems with Fire, if 1 or 2 things goes wrong, it's done. You're done. And it's not like that with other colors that I play. I can take 2, 3, bad ends of a play and still come out on top, like crawl my way back with value and my own tricks. And I just don't see that with Fire. And it's a shame because 1 color out of 6 colors in this game, is just... You can't go mono with it. You have to splash it in, and then even then, you need to be careful, right? So I'm really hoping they can improve that in 2019. And I know a lot of other listeners would love to see that as well.
Yeah, I agree, man. You got my vote.
You got my vote.
We're going to make Fire great again. It's going to be huge.
I'm going to tell you what, though, and I'm going to say this here. If I do get my invite as early as I did last year for Nationals, I'm going to take Fire to Majors. And I don't care what whatever happens. No, I am. Because if I'm fortunate enough, I was fortunate enough to get my invite early last year, right? And after that, I kept trying to go for, first or go for the gold. No. I wanted to do what all the greats did. Go show up with a crazy deck and make people turn heads. So I'll do it, man. If I feel like Fire has any has made progress in in Opus 8, then after I get my invite, I'm gonna start playing Fire at everything, locals, and majors, any majors, all the petite clubs, all the crystal clubs, all the side events.
No, you're not.
There's gonna be a Fire deck in my deck box.
You're quitting the game.
Way to be an overachiever, man.
No, I want to do it, bro. I'm gonna prove you guys. We're gonna do it.
You do that, man. You know what? I support you 100%. Whatever you need, I got you.
Live your best life.
Even Yuri couldn't fix that deck.
Yuri is still the best card of that deck.
Best fire card. Dude.
Yeah. So there's a couple things to look forward to right now. We mentioned the reunion. It's gonna be the first. So I'm gonna explain it to you, Albert, because for anyone else who doesn't know it, the reunion is gonna be the first of the Petite Cups for the preseason of 2019. It's gonna be here in Florida, Lake Mary, hosted by Cards of Ivalice and Square. Ivalice is hosting it with the support of Square, and now it started as like a fan-made fan fest sort of, and it turned into a Petite Cup just a few weeks ago. They also announced the other locations for Petite Cups, which is cool. And there's going to be like a Petite Cup showdown, or like the winner from each one is going to go to the finals. And there's like all the winners from the Petite Cups are going to do their own like preseason thing, right? It's going to be in Kansas at the end of that. And then we're scheduled to have the Crystal Cups starting in April, right? I think that's what they said, right, Alex, Andy?
I believe so.
Yeah, April.
Yeah.
And so remember how last year we went to the Petite Cup in Tampa? This time it's going to be in Lake Mary. And so it's going to be the whole day Saturday. Alex, Andy, and I are going to stay up there with a couple of the others that are coming down. And it's going to be a good day. Lots of card games. They say they're going to try to do a lot for anyone, like newer players and, seasoned players. There's going to be like trivia and tons of giveaways. Andy's volunteered to help them stream it. Chris Adams and Matthew Rice will be commentating for the whole thing, which is really nice of them. And I think Max Williams is judging, right? He's the head judge, or
I believe he's judging it.
yeah, he's judging it. So and RB or Square rep is going to be there, and yeah, a lot to look forward at that day. I've been playing like crazy, trying to get ready for that. I think we're on our decks that we're finally. Like, I think we're on our deck that we're going to play for that. I don't know. I speak for myself. But, Andy?
That's right. You definitely do speak for yourself. Because I have no idea what I'm taking still. But it's going to be great. I mean, shout outs to James Lockwood. I mean, he's definitely been putting his heart and soul into this event, regardless if it was a Petite Cup or not. I mean, just to bring everybody together, play some cards, have some laughs, enjoy Final Fantasy as not only a card game, but just, a stepping stone in all of our lives, right? Definitely big shout out to Alex, because that guy's putting together the TCG house, housing 15 of us, I believe.
I think we're at 14, 15.
Yeah, that's going to be great, man.
And that's going to be nuts. And we got people all across the country just joining us in that house. It's going to be the nuts.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. And I think we're almost at their limit, right? They're about... They have like 10 tickets left, so I think there's almost... I
think they have like 10 slots left, so this is going to be as big as Boston.
Yeah, this is going to be as big as Boston. So I think that's about 90 people out of 100, and I'm sure there's still like some people that are going to buy it the last day, like on, probably right before this, while this is coming out. So yeah, that's going to be for... And the other thing we're going to talk about, because I want to like put my 2 cents on it, is the Final Fantasy TCG Fan Fest. So I don't know if you heard about that, Albert, but it was supposed to be like another similar to the FFB one I went to in Cali, but just for the card game. It had 125 tickets apparently, and it sold out in 8 minutes. Yeah, and I am furious. There's a lot of people that are upset.
I'm furious. Said in a calm voice, I am so furious.
I am, man. I was really excited. So I went to...
I am furious.
So I really wanted to go. I was kind of upset that... I'm kind of still upset that I can't go. I'm hoping someone will come out and say, I can't make it. Someone buy my ticket, and maybe there'll be a way to get in there later. But it's too late for me, I think. So I'm hoping everyone has a good time at that event. You guys aren't upset that it's sold out? You weren't even trying to go, right?
No, I wasn't even trying to go. I mean, it's just, I think it was just, I want to say it's short notice, but at the same time, it's just like, I'm in a situation where I can't really fly out to California. I already did that for Nationals. It has barely been, it's a couple months to just fly back out to California. Yeah. I would love to see my Meta Potion brethren, but, that costs money that I don't have.
Alex, you're not upset about it either, are you?
I'm okay with it, man. We've traveled for several events this year. I'm all right with it. I think the reunion is going to be more than enough fan fiesta that I need. We've got literally everyone there. Mr. Papa Picante himself is going to be there. Chris Adams. We've got Curtis Sugoi Kang. This is going to be completely ridiculous. I'm going to teach everyone how to play Kingdom Death Monster. We're not going to go anywhere all weekend. It's going to be great.
Are you really taking it to the house?
Oh yeah, boys, you know it.
It's a 4-player max game, but
it's a 72-player max game, dude. We'll homebrew our own rules. The creatures will get 86 dice to attack. Let's go.
So, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, if you didn't know what a cat eye circlet is, Alex is here to tell you a few minutes about it. Go ahead, Alex.
Our Lord and Savior.
Lol. So recently I've really gotten back into this board game, right? And for those of you who've ever played like D&D or Monster Hunter, oh man, this is the board game for you, right? We're really cranking it all way past level 10 here with this one. So it's pretty much Monster Hunter, D&D, and like city building all in one game, where pretty much everything is just trying to kill you all the time. And I'm not going to go about 10 minutes into it, but me, John, Andy, and Alberto, and several others have really been sinking time into this one. And I can't wait to show it to basically anyone who will listen. Because this has just been such a great game. So definitely this is coming to the reunion house near you. So if you're in that house, get ready. And if you're not, Google it.
Yeah, I was thinking what I would classify this game under. I was talking about it on the ride back, I think, the other night from after we played. And I was talking to John, and it really is like an RPG, roguelike board game that can be single player, right?
Yeah.
That's right. I think roguelike really nails it there, because you're not playing a character, you're playing a city, right? So you don't care if your people die. As long as the city keeps growing, then you'll be able to beat the game eventually, right?
And it's another like unique thing about it, I think, is that it's like, how do you say, like, it's like it's not open world, but it's like it has like a save state. Like you continue the very next time you play from where you left off.
Yeah, it's definitely like choose your own adventure type deal.
Something like that, yeah. So if that doesn't pique your interest, then it's not for you.
Well, I'm just glad that it's going to be available to. We can have it. We can see it on what's it called? TCG House.
TCG House, yeah.
TCG House.
Yeah.
We'll spread it from 15 people. We'll spread to 500. Who knows?
Man, that game's gonna blow up.
Get the name out there.
The only thing I will say is, it is a commitment, right? Like me and John did the calculations, and at 3 or 4 hours every 2 weeks, this is going to take probably 4 months to beat. And that's assuming we don't die and have to start over.
I thought you meant like in real life. Yeah, if you die in real life, I don't think you'll.
Not real life. That would be terrible. Please. Oh heavens! But in the game,
the game's so long,
we'd have to start over again, which is super unfortunate because that would be like months of time gone.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
But yeah, if you're a big fan of EX Burst, oh boy, you're gonna love this one. Because pretty much every time you hit the monster in this game, you get punished. And that's what the cat eye circlet is. It's a piece of gear in this game that lets you manipulate the top 3 cards of their deck so that when you do try to damage them, you don't get horribly maimed in response. Well, there you go. That's the cat eye circlet.
That sounds like the new what the new Al Cid S ability is going to sound like.
Maimed?
It's just I don't know. I'm just trying to bring it back.
I was gonna do that.
Because of that.
Going back to
that goes beyond shameless plug. Like that is the king of shameless plugs.
Yeah, we need to make another Hildebrand card for sure, though. To be fair, like let's go. Like And then the last ability is called Battle of the Bridge or something. Like, let's get there.
Something, right?
But going back to this fan fest selling out though, like I think it's only like 125. You said I mean that's fine. Like from what you're telling me that it was like the one you just went to, like it seems like it's more fun, casual. It's not necessarily. It's not like they're locking you out of or like selling a short amount of tickets to like a Nats, like something that's going to get you.
Well, it is funny that you say that because I think they did say that's going to be one of the petite cups as well.
That gives you the invite for this.
Well, no, buying it gets you in there to participate in the Petit Cup. So it's like only 125 people.
The Petit Cup circuit, the championship thing?
Yeah. Like this is one of the stops, is at the Fan Fest.
Okay, right. That's different.
No, but even then, I mean, look, I've heard a lot of people voice their opinion on it, and I'm inclined to agree that the finals for the circuit is not really a big deal. I mean, only one person really is guaranteed a spot in, in Nationals?
Okay.
So, like, you have to fly out there anyways, and only first place gets a spot in Nats. Like, what happens to the rest of the people,
Yeah.
I don't know. So, for me, it's not that big of a deal. I will participate in my LCQs and Crystal Cups, and, but I'm seeing 2019 as more dedicated to local play. I don't think there'll be a lot much traveling unless, wherever National is going to be held at.
Okay. And that's actually a good segue, though. I do want to talk about local play for a lot of people. So for those who don't know, we've had a hard time this year getting our locals to what it is now. And I'm happy to say that we're consistently firing off every week now. Mondays is always our best day. We have like 10 plus, right? 10 to 15 almost. Thursdays we'll have a little less, 8 if we're lucky. We'll usually end up doing 5 to 6 people round robin. And then Saturdays we'll alternate between a good day and then sometimes no one will show up. But let's talk about what we can do to our locals to help improve them in the sense of other than just constructed. Now, I think this weekend we're actually doing a cube tournament, which is going to be fun. And then I think going down 2019, and I want your guys' opinions on it, because I mentioned it to Alex yesterday after the tournament, but I want to do one day where it's kind of like a fun day to try to build a new deck. And what that means is, like, we'll say it'll be Fire Day, right? Which means everyone has to bring either mono fire or any fire variant, which means you can bring fire lightning, fire water, fire wind, etc., and everyone has to have fire in their deck. What do you think about doing stuff like that for local play, Andy?
I don't know if setting certain restrictions would, entice people to come play even more. So I don't know. Not for me, Doug.
Not for you. So on Fire Day, you're not showing up.
It's not that. I mean, it's just like, hey, we want to grow the community, but at the same time, we're having these silly stipulations where it's like, yeah, you can only bring this deck. But, that for us, it's great because we own all the cards. For somebody who's kind of getting in the game, oh, damn, I don't have a fire deck. Guess I can't go. You feel me?
Yeah, I feel you.
I think that's kind of silly. I think we can be open to different types of play. Like there's title format, which I think is actually what can entice people to play, because a lot of times they get into Final Fantasy not because they like all the Final Fantasies, but they have that one specifically that they're really attached to, and they would love to play that deck.
Okay. What about drafting more?
That's a skill, and maybe new players don't have that skill. I would say it's. I don't even know if it's like an even playing ground because people can draft better than others. So it's just I don't know. It's just whatever it is.
Yeah, John knows a little bit about that.
Yeah. So if you can draft better than somebody else, you just kind of just guaranteed to win.
Yeah. I'd say run it by your group. I mean, I'm sure that like Andy was saying, like the title format thing might be cool, but I'd say pitch it to the group as or to like the store, or maybe even just promote it and see if that takes off. Like if you're having trouble getting your locals to go off, then then post it that way or advertise it that way, and then see if that gets people to come in. I don't know.
I don't think because I don't think right now it's a price board issue or a day issue, because we're always flexible when we can fire off. It's more of just an interest issue, I think.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So So I don't know. What about you guys? What do you guys have ideas? Alex, why don't you give me an idea so we can encourage local play for like ourselves as well as the rest of the community? Like something we can do differently that we've done for 2019.
Here's something I've been thinking, right? So Andy's right in the piece that there definitely are players who are better than others as far as drafting, and so the playing ground may not be that even, right? But what I was thinking of doing is we don't draft Opus 7, Opus 6, right? Everyone has those cards. There's not really a lot of incentive winning or losing for most everyone because all the new players, that's how they got into the game. They bought 2-box Opus 7 and they've got all that stuff. A lot of the things that are happening with our players that is limiting them from really taking it to that next level is these staple cards that they just can't find. Our local shops never have Opus 1 or Opus 5 or Opus 4 or any of the other older opuses in stock, right?
It's true.
So what I thought would be amazing, and I think one of our players has, taken it upon himself, he bought an Opus 1 box and we're going to draft that. And I think that's an amazing idea because, one, it's something totally new and different. And two, win or lose, if you draft a Shantoto, I don't really think you care that you went 0-3 that day. You just got yourself a staple card, right? So we do an Opus 5 one, and somebody gets a wool or a foil wool or something. Again, they're not going to care that they didn't top or whatever. So I really think that would be helpful. And in the meantime, you're getting everyone's collection up to speed, which will help them be more competitive in Constructed, and which in turn will make them want to go to Constructed more often.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
That sounds hot.
Sounds hot.
I'd join an Opus 1 construction. I mean, drafting.
Yeah, man, Saturday, 1 p.m., let's go. See you there.
Oh, wait, I might be doing something.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so, okay, that is a good idea, and I think that's something to look forward to, though. But maybe we got to talk to our local game shops then, and we see if we can get them to try to get older sets. We're not getting a lot of reprints, right, yet. There's not a lot of things. We just got Genesis reprints and Fat Chocobo and stuff like that. I'm hoping that the starter decks, the Opus 8 starter decks, come with reprints, but, we can't hope for more Wolves and Cloud of Darknesses, you know what I mean? So there's got to be something in the middle there. Do you guys think this game will ever do, like, tins? Like the way Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon do, or like those other things?
Like a crystal, shape of a crystal, and you get stuff in there.
You never know. Maybe. Maybe not.
Yeah, because at some point we got to get. Alex brings up a good point. Like all of the newer players don't have the older cards. Opus 1 through 4, pretty much. Most of them were fortunate. Most of them here were fortunate enough to start late Opus 5, and then we kind of went from there. But there's still a lot of them that don't even have like a Cloud or an Ishtola or a Wool for that matter.
I think that's going to depend on whether or not they intend to grow that ban list or do like the sort of set cycling that like other card games do. But from so that was interesting too this year that they banned like those cards, right? Only recently, for the first time, I think, pretty sure. And so, but I think that when they announced that, they sort of in the statement, I think I remember reading that they only had planned to ban cards if they're, considerably overpowered, or if they're just like affecting the game negatively, right? And so that to me says that there is no really at least for now, for the foreseeable future, they don't plan on doing that cycling of the sets or restricting the first opus four opuses, let's say. So if that sticks around, if that goes to plan as planned, then they'll definitely do reprints, and then a tin could be certainly possible, with 2 promos in it, like the Amon and the Genesis that we got in that last starter set. I think even Magic the Gathering does some version of that, right? Starter decks in a way, right? But also they're in a tin, and you get these older cards. I'm pretty sure. I don't know too much about Magic. Don't quote me on that.
We've seen those.
But even they who have so much to pull from previous sets, they do some of that.
Yeah, we've seen. And I think you're right too. I know Magic has something like that. I've never bought them, obviously, but yeah, Pokemon has them. Yu-Gi-Oh has them. But it'd be cool if we got more stuff like that gave us variety packs. Like it might not necessarily have to be like an old, like give us a cool promo like some of the cards do, but like maybe like bundle packs, like it would have, because the Yu-Gi-Oh students used to come with like 6 or 8 packs, 2 from each set, right? And so that would be something helpful, for us down the future.
Yeah, it used to come with like its own exclusive promo card.
Yeah, it would come with the cover card, right? Whatever's on the tin, and then like a pack of promos, like a pack of reprints, and then like yeah,
Jesus,
and then sets, packs from other sets, not just one, not just the newest stuff, right?
Right, it's just a grab bag of a bunch of stuff, but that's how you kind of get your money's worth.
Yeah.
Yep.
That would definitely be cool to see stuff like that down the road. Man, a lot of things we can hope for in 2019.
Fire still won't be good though.
It's another viewer gone.
Another viewer gone. Every time someone says
Another 2 viewers gained, sir.
Oh, I don't like your math.
All right. Well, I think that's gonna wrap us up. I don't know if there's anything else we can talk about though. This year has been great. We've met a lot of great friends. Shout outs to everyone. The list would be too long to go through them one by one. But we have friends in Canada, Virginia, Cali, all over the States, and some even abroad now. It's been a heck of a year, man. I'm really hoping that this 2019 can give us a lot more of what we got and then some.
Yeah, shout out to the locals because, I remember like you were saying, like we were saying earlier, like in, I guess, end of last year, even when we started the game, no one played this thing, nobody, and now we got like our own little community that like people who always show up and like the game and enjoy playing, and they make it more fun. So that's really good.
Yeah, man. Shout out to them for sure. Any last little anecdotes you guys want to add before we log off for the year?
Alex, take it away.
Alex.
He's still playing KDM.
I know he is. I heard the dice.
I see he's on mute, bro. It's okay. So
let's talk about, why don't we just go around and
oh man, I keep being muted when I'm not supposed to be muted, man. I hate Skype. I said, first of all, doot, 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 doot. So that was one. And then two, yeah, man, we really grew the community this year, and I really hope to see us get to these Friday Night Magic levels. Man, they come in here, even that first Keyforge tournament, the brand new game had like 25 people the first time out the box. So we just keep doing what we're doing, man. We need to keep grinding, get new players involved, be nice to them, and hope they bring their friends, and then we can get there, man. And that's really what I'm hoping for in 2019. We can just keep growing this community and keep getting stronger, make this game bigger and better.
Yeah. Albert, you were going to say something? How about we go around and what?
Oh, just everybody. Everybody just, why don't we just talk about who is our main in Smash? Everybody want to...
Does anybody play Smash on this thing?
Of course they do. Put it in the comments. Let us know who you main in Smash.
I main Robin and King K. Rool now and Ganondorf. Those are my top three. You can main 3, bro. Andy and I main like 8 characters, bro.
Yeah, I float around. I've been floating around so many characters. But before we get into that, I do want to say special something to a lot of things. Since in 2018, we actually developed quite a bit of community, quite the competitive scene, as well as casual and local. First of all, big shout out to Sergio Bravo. I mean, he was technically our first competitive person we played against. We started out kind of like learning the game between us. Then, we found him at PPG and we started playing there. So he is, the owner, the proprietor of TCG Titans. Big shout outs to Meta Potion as well for allowing me to join their team. And, kind of like combine with TCG Titans as well. So definitely a big thing happened. We did meet and kind of like fell in love with Alejandro Zingenhurt, the Hurt Locker Special himself, this year. So that did happen this year. So big shout outs to you, Papa. We love you, bro.
He's saying 222.
Yeah.
Yo, shout out to Reddit, boys.
Reddit, yeah, we did. We met up.
Yeah, that's how you guys kind of like got together.
I was Reddit lurking for how to play this game better.
Yeah, man. I mean, for me, all these personal experiences and everything. Another good personal experience that I hold dear to my heart. Playing against Sam the first time at ARG, the Summoner Series thing. You know, I'll never forget. I was like the match where I was just, I don't know. I completely lost my mind. And I got addicted to competitive playing. But it was that match specifically that kind of like opened me up to I can get better at this. But I know for a fact that there's better people out there, and he's one of them. So big shout outs to Sam and the Choco Bros for just being, you know, the competitive side of Florida that we strive to be here, man.
Yeah, man, for sure. Well, and for me, I guess, I just want to thank, obviously, my team here. You know, the Triple Triad. Andy's, you know, been with me since day one. My brother's been with me since day one. I think day two because he wasn't there the day we got Andy and I ripped open those starter decks, but he was there afterwards. And then obviously, you know, Alex here for, you know, giving us all day, bro. And yeah, and obviously all of you, my followers too. Thank you so much for, you know, subscribing and keeping up with me, keeping me honest, telling me when I mess up my videos, and you know, still liking them anyway.
There's always room to grow, room to improve.
Yeah, there's definitely that for all of us too. Yeah, so smash mains, and then we're out of here, bro. I play Robin. Robin's my main character. Andy, go.
Palatina,
Alex. He's mute. Dude. Albert.
I'm on that young Link right now.
But we're gonna go with Kirby, I guess.
Young Link and Kirby. That's it, guys. We are the Triple Triad. This is 2018. We'll see you next year.